Caught my wife cheating, took my revenge, and now she begs to come back. But I had one final surprise. Alex Carter adjusted their grip on the steering wheel as their car rumbled along the cracked road leading to Black Hollow. Rain drizzled against the windshield, the sky in a dull gray sheet stretching endlessly above. The town's silhouette emerged through the mist, faded houses, empty storefronts, and crooked lampposts that flickered weakly. They had always been drawn to places like this, forgotten, abandoned, steeped in mystery. As a journalist specializing in urban legends and haunted locations, Alex had traveled to the most infamous ghost towns, but Black Hollow felt different. This was not just another assignment. This was personal. Pulling up to the town's only diner, Alex parked the car and stepped out. The air was thick with moisture, the distant rumble of thunder echoing over the hills. A rusted sign above the door read Maggie's Diner. Pushing the door open, Alex was met with the scent of stale coffee and fried food. A handful of locals sat inside, their conversations dying as they turned to stare. The silence stretched uncomfortably before a woman behind the counter, likely Maggie herself, wiped her hands on a faded apron and approached. "You're not from around here," she said, her voice carrying the weight of suspicion. "No," Alex admitted, offering a polite smile. "I'm a journalist. I'm here to write about the Ashmore Manor." A sharp intake of breath passed through the room. The old man at the corner table muttered something under his breath, shaking his head. Maggie's expression darkened. "You should turn around and leave," she warned. "That house, it doesn't welcome visitors." Alex's curiosity flared. "So, the stories are true?" Maggie hesitated before nodding. "More than you know." The diner remained eerily silent as Alex processed Maggie's words. The tension in the room felt like an invisible force pressing against their chest, making it hard to breathe. The locals' wary expressions only deepened Alex's resolve. "If you know something about the manor, I'd love to hear it," Alex pressed. Maggie sighed, glancing toward the old man in the corner, the one who had muttered under his breath. The man, gray-bearded and hunched with age, scowled but eventually spoke. "They say the house is cursed," he rasped. "Always has been. No one who stays there leaves the same, if they leave at all." A younger man near the counter scoffed. "Superstitions," he muttered, but his voice lacked confidence. Maggie shot him a glare before turning back to Alex. "If you're determined to go up there, at least don't go alone. And whatever you hear, don't answer." A chill ran down Alex's spine at her ominous tone. They wanted to press for more details, but the atmosphere in the diner had shifted from uneasy to outright hostile. It was clear that no one wanted to discuss Ashmore Manor any further. With a sigh, Alex paid for a coffee to go, thanked Maggie, and stepped outside. The rain had stopped, leaving behind a heavy fog that curled around the town's edges like grasping fingers. Despite the warnings, excitement bubbled in Alex's chest. There was something real here, something more than just another ghost story. The drive up to Ashmore Manor was treacherous, the winding road slick with rain, twisted through dense forest before finally opening onto a barren cliffside. And there, looming against the stormy sky, stood the house. Even from a distance, the mansion exuded an undeniable presence. Its Gothic spires clawed at the heavens, and its massive, broken windows seemed like the hollowed-out eyes of a corpse. The front gate hung open, as if inviting Alex inside. Parking at the edge of the overgrown driveway, Alex grabbed their camera and flashlight. The wind howled through the empty spaces of the house, creating an eerie, almost human wail. Alex hesitated for only a moment before stepping forward. The air grew thick, charged with something unseen. Each step toward the entrance felt heavier than the last, as if unseen hands were trying to hold them back. With a deep breath, Alex reached for the doorknob. The door swung open on its own. And then, from deep within the house, came a whisper. "Welcome home." Alex froze in the doorway. The whisper had been soft, almost affectionate, but it sent ice crawling down their spine. They swallowed hard and stepped inside. The air was stale, thick with dust and something else, something old, almost rotten. The grand foyer stretched before them, its once opulent chandeliers now draped in cobwebs. A massive staircase loomed in the center, leading up into shadows. Alex lifted the camera, the small red light blinking as it recorded. First look inside Ashmore Manor, they murmured, voice hushed. The air feels heavy, like the house is watching. The floor creaked under their steps as they moved deeper into the house. The walls were lined with portraits, faces staring out from the past, their eyes following Alex wherever they went. Then sound. A soft thump from upstairs. Alex's breath caught. They turned, camera pointed toward the staircase. That wasn't the wind, they whispered. Another thump. And then, footsteps. Slow, deliberate, coming from the second floor. Alex's pulse pounded. Every instinct screamed to turn back, but they forced themselves to stay. If there was someone or something here, they needed to find out. The staircase groaned under their weight as they ascended. The upper hallway stretched into darkness, doors lining both sides like waiting mouths. Then, without warning, the camera flickered. The screen glitched, static warping the image. And in that brief distortion, Alex saw her. A figure at the end of the hall. A woman in a black Victorian dress, pale with hollowed eyes and lips parted as if whispering something lost to time. Then the camera went black, and the whisper came again, so close it brushed against Alex's ear. You shouldn't have come. Alex's breath came in ragged gasps as they pressed their back against the wall. The whisper still echoed in their mind, though the hallway had fallen silent. The woman, that thing, had vanished when the camera shut off, leaving only the oppressive weight of something unseen lingering in the air. They forced their trembling fingers to turn the camera back on. The screen flickered before stabilizing, showing only the empty hall before them. A noise. A soft scraping like nails dragging across wood. It came from the end of the hall, from behind a door that hung slightly ajar. The room beyond was suffocated in darkness. Alex swallowed hard. You came here for answers, they muttered under their breath, then stepped forward. The door groaned as they pushed it open. Inside, the air was thick, charged with something unnatural. The beam of their flashlight swept across the room. An old study. Dust-covered bookshelves lined the walls. A writing desk sat in the corner, its surface littered with brittle papers. But it was the floor that caught Alex's attention. The floorboards were wrong. One section near the center of the room was newer than the rest. The color was slightly different, the wood less worn. A trapdoor. Alex knelt, heart hammering. They ran their fingers along the seams, searching for a latch. And then the whisper came again. Don't. A chill ran down Alex's spine, but they couldn't stop now. They slipped their fingers under the edge of the loose floorboard and pulled. It came away with a sharp crack, and the smell hit them instantly. Rot. Decay. Death. Beneath the floor, tangled in the darkness, lay a skeleton. Alex stumbled back, gagging at the stench. The bones were old, long stripped of flesh, yet something about them felt wrong, as if they still held the memory of suffering. A journal lay beside the skeleton, its leather cover cracked with age. Alex's fingers shook as they picked it up, flipping to the first page. The ink had faded, but the name at the top sent a jolt through their spine. Eliza Ashmore. The woman in the portrait. The whisper in the dark. Her final words were scrawled in shaky handwriting. He locked me away. No one heard my screams. The walls swallowed my voice. But I am still here. I will always be here. A sharp crash sounded behind Alex. They spun around, and she was there. Eliza Ashmore. Her figure wavered, flickering like a dying candle. Her hollow eyes bore into Alex's soul. But this time the whisper wasn't threatening. It was pleading. Tell them. The air grew thick. The room groaned. The walls shuddered. And then everything collapsed into darkness. Alex woke to the sound of sirens. They were outside. The house. Ashmore Manor was gone. reduced to a smoldering heap of ruins. The police found them half-conscious near the wreckage, clutching the old journal. The media called it a tragic accident, an old house finally giving in to time. But Alex knew the truth. Eliza's story was no longer buried beneath the floorboards. She was finally heard. But as Alex watched the flames die, a chill crawled up their spine. Because in the whisper of the wind, they swore they heard one last message. Thank you. Or was it something else? Something waiting. Something hungry. For another story to begin.